So when you're using Component Studio and you use the prev_y variable so that your text automatically flows, like for example here I've got my heading floating so that the length of this text does not always pushes down each header. That way, so as I scroll through, let's go to a different mission here, you'll see that everything gets a little bit taller, and you know, these labels and all the text below them are moving as you move from one card to the other. Now the thing is that sometimes you want to be able to have like a little header image behind those images, so you need to create some layers. Now if you use prev_y on that, then what's going to happen is that the text will prev_y off of the image that is above it, and then you won't they won't line up properly. So for this you need to get a little bit fancy if you want to replicate this little thing here where I have that smudge behind the flip over this card when. What you need to do is use setGet, which is a function. And I wanted to take a minute to show you how that works. So I'm going to go ahead and apply that to objective here and just kind of show you how it goes, and hopefully it's a neat trick that you can use in your own designs. So our objective label is right here on number 45. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start by adding an image. We're going to change that to render at layer or step number 44. So it's going to come right before the objective label. I'm going to just call it objective BKG, like so. And then we go over here. Our objective label is currently prev_y plus 30. So, oh yeah, this is going to come in at around 50. So if I just take this, let's just get an image here before I get into this. I've made a few different little smudges here, so I'm just going to grab one of those smudges and I'll place it down, and you can see that it puts it up there. Now what I want to do is I want to take that prev_y and I want to do a set get prev_y plus 30. So that whole thing is in that is going to be in a variable. Oops, I forgot to give it a variable name. So let's do prev_y, like so. I'm just going to, we can call it whatever we want. This isn't going to overwrite prev_y. I'm just creating a new like special variable, prev_y. So now it's in where it is, but it of course pushed it down because objective label is still prev_y plus 30. It pushed this one down. So what I want to do now is I want to use that variable that I just created. So down here, and even though these steps are out of order, so I'll just refresh the screen quick and that'll put them into the same order. So now 44 is in line. Here's our background. We've got our set get prev_y, and it's going to actually set the real prev_y system variable in that. Here I want to actually use the variable I created, so I'm just going to call get prev_y, like so. And so now it's going to reuse, oops, I'm on mission 100, let's go to mission 105 where we were before. Now it's going to use that same prev_y. So let me just put it back to the way it was. We were at prev_y plus 30. So it was like this. Now, if I paste this back in here, we're using this custom variable that we created. And just to show you, it doesn't have to be called prev_y, so we're just going to call it whatever. You know, we can call it literally anything. And then I'll go down here and set it. Gets all screwy there because I was messing around. So anyway, you can call it literally whatever you want, that variable. Now you'll note that my smear still isn't quite where I want it to be, but at least objective is being written in the same place at the same. You know, it's not down below the smudge anymore. So in order to get it the smudge to line up, now I've got to squish the smudge. And so I happen to know that I need this to be 100 pixels tall to cover the area that I'm looking for here. And I want to offset it by 25 pixels above this one. So inside the brace here, I'm going to actually take the thing that I'm set getting, and I'm going to minus 25. So it's actually going to go 25 pixels above that. And then I can also mess with the width here if I wanted to. So if I can look up here and go, okay, that's, maybe 300 pixels wide. I could mess around with that a little bit and change the width of the smudge. So if I wanted to, I could say, let's make it 250 now instead, and that'll shrink it down a little bit, just to match the wording. I can do whatever I want with that. But anyway, that's how you get the smudge to line up with your text. You're actually, just to go over it one more time. So we've got requires here. This requires text that's in there, which is Kyle, has a prev, it sets a prev value. I'm going to take whatever comes out of that prev value, add 30 to it so that I get a little bit of space here. And then I'm going to put that into a variable called whatever that I just created. And I'm going to use set get. So set get, what that does is it sets a variable and it immediately retrieves it. So that way the value of that variable is going to get set into this variable, and then it's going to come right back out so that I can use it immediately. And so I want to use it immediately to set the Y value of my image. I want my image to come above where objective is though, so I'm going to actually subtract an extra 25 pixels off of it, so it comes 25 pixels above the text. Then down in the actual label, I do get whatever, get that variable. And so then that allows objective to be the prev Y value from Kyle plus 30 pixels, because we added the 30 pixels in up there. It's there. And then the image behind it is prev Y plus 30 pixels minus 25 pixels. And that gets us, where it needs to be. So that's allowing you to basically reuse the prev Y variable on multiple subsequent steps so that they can all line up with each other. And the cool thing is then, of course, as you're moving around through the different missions here, as these things change position, that little background image there is moving along with the rest of the text. And so it's all flowing the way you would want it to flow. Across all the different images. And so that's just a neat little trick I thought you might be interested in seeing, and so I decided to share. Thanks.